everyone, from the Matt Morris Digital Studio here in Fresno, California. This is the Beem and Dean Show. Before we get to introductions, I have to say something. 50 years ago today, my good friend, our sports director, Scott Bemis, was born in Orange County, right? Orange County?
No, I was born in Inglewood, actually.
Inglewood up to no good.
Yeah.
But happy birthday, Scotty.
Thanks, Dino.
The big 5-0. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, the big 5-0. And
yes.
Big shout out to Andrew Martin, if he's listening out there, the former sports director here at the station. First text I received at 2:14 a.m. last night from Andrew wishing me a happy birthday. He beat my wife to it.
Fantastic. Yeah, Andrew, we love you. We miss you, buddy. But yeah, nice job reaching out to Scotty. Happy birthday, buddy.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in today and doing this. Scotty, we are, 2.5 days away from Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco, California. We got the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. We'll each have a play on this game, as well as a very cool prop that we're going to cover each. But Scotty, what are the keys to this game in your opinion? What are you looking for in this game?
First off, right, Santa Clara, right?
Santa Clara.
Like it's a good 40 miles or so, right, from Santa Clara to San Francisco.
True.
I know all the festivities are in Santa Francisco.
You saw the logo though, like I did. They showed the Golden Gate Bridge.
Exactly, but I think some people don't realize that sometimes. That's where the Niners play.
Exactly.
What was your question?
What are the keys to the game?
Keys to the game.
What in your opinion? What does each team need to do to be successful in this game?
Well, like so many games in the NFL, I think the biggest key to the game is going to be the turnover battle. Sam Darnold, at times in his career, has been turnover prone. This New England defense generates a lot of turnovers. They've generated a lot of turnovers in the playoffs. So to me, that kind of is the big key. Who takes better care of the football? Drake May's been a little sloppy with it in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So, can he kind of eliminate those mistakes, keep his team in it? Get maybe their nose in front a little bit, to put a little pressure on Darnold and the Seahawks when mistakes can sometimes start happening. That's a simple answer, turnover battle, but I think ultimately so many NFL games are decided by that.
Yeah, I agree with you. You cannot turn the ball over in this game. It's going to be interesting to see how Drake May does. I mean, this is the biggest stage he's ever played on. And honestly, a young guy who hasn't played well in these playoffs, but he had a great regular season, and he's finally getting a chance to go play in decent weather. His other two games were in very, very cold, chilly, somewhat blizzard-like conditions, we'll just say. So now he's going to get a really nice day in Santa Clara. So hopefully we'll see how he performs. Now let's talk about this. Everybody and their grandmother are picking the Seattle Seahawks right now, Scott. Just leading into kind of where our plays are going on this game. I've seen yours and you'll see mine. But do the New England Patriots have a shot in this game?
Absolutely, they have a shot. I mean, consider this. This team has lost once since September 21st. This team has not played well offensively in the playoffs, yet has won 3 playoff games. To me, that's the sign of a really good team. Both sides of the ball. It's not just Drake May. It's not just, the offense. I mean, their defense has really been the key to this playoff run for them. And so, do I think the Patriots have a chance? Absolutely. I think the Seahawks deserve to be favored. Their defense, on paper at least, looks to maybe be, one of the elite defense, in the league or right up there in that department, the way Sam Darnold's been playing in the playoffs. But that's another key. You ask about keys. Sam Darnold is a big key in this game. Which Sam Darnold are we going to get? Are we going to get the one that we've saw last week against the Rams? Very efficient and turn the ball over. Or are we going to see that one that from the regular season against the Rams when he turned it over a bunch? And so that's a wild card. I'm an SC guy. I'm kind of rooting for Darnold. I think it's a great story and everything else. But even in college, he had these roller coaster type of things. He'd have an unbelievable game. That Rose Bowl against Penn State, for example, stands out. But then he'd turn it over 4 times in a game against Oregon State or something like that.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots, do they have a chance? Absolutely. And it feels like, we're kind of giving away our plays, but it feels like 4.5 is a little too much at this point.
Okay. Well, one thing I'm going to mention, you're talking about the defenses, and I honestly feel like the New England defense is better than the Seattle defense.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
They've given up less points than the Seattle defense has given up. I mean, the Rams put a whole bunch of points on Seattle 2 weeks ago. That New England defense is really, really stingy, honestly. They've been stingy all year. They've They've been really good. They're good against the pass. Christian Gonzalez, former Buff, who finished at Oregon. I'm really proud of him and what he's doing. Their defensive line's sneaky good. They're good against the run. One key about this game I will mention, though, honestly, is, two things. They both deal with the running game in particular. Zach Charbonnet will not play in this game for Seattle, part of the two-headed monster. So it's going to be Kenneth Walker III, as the main running back for Seattle. But New England does have a two-headed monster with Stevenson and Henderson. Both those guys are very good. Stevenson, particularly, has been very, very good this postseason. So I expect him to do a lot of good things on the ground. He's a guy that can get you 3rd and 2. He can get you 3rd and 4. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. So watch out for those matchups. And then they're sneaky good at the receiver position too. With Butte and the Hunter Henry, the tight end. And then you've also got Diggs, the veteran, right? So just be very careful with this New England team. Everyone's kind of counting them out. But I've seen this movie before. Yeah, it did have a different star quarterback. But, even with Brady, they were counted out against the Rams, in that first Super Bowl. They were down 28-3 to the Falcons. So they just have a history of being the underdog and playing well.
Yeah, there's no way they're the type of underdog that you're talking about with regards to that. I mean, again, we're talking about a team that went 14-3 during the regular season, right? I mean, a team who's only lost, like I said, since like week 3 or 4, I don't know what week it was exactly, has lost one game, and that was a game that they should have won. And then I keep coming back to, Dean, that the Patriots have not played well in the playoffs. They've made enough mistakes offensively that they should have been home. They should have been, hitting the links right now.
Yeah.
And that to me is the sign of a good team. When you can win when you're not at your best, it's a sign of a great all-around team. The defense picks up the offense when the offense is having a rough day, and vice versa. And Drake May has made just enough plays to kind of get him over the hump and get him into this big game. And so, yeah, I mean, when I kind of look at it from a point spread perspective, I say, man, I'm getting 4.5 here, 3 and 4 kind of key numbers in the NFL if you can get more than that. Key. And it's like, wow, I'm getting a team who's lost once, basically in the last 3.5, 4 months. And I'm getting more than a field goal, like in the biggest game of the year, against a team that Seattle, which is good, obviously was the number 1 seed in the NFC, but right, they don't appear to me to be like a generational type of team in any way, right?
Yeah,
they're
Scotty,
a good team.
From a betting standpoint, too, over 4 is a key number because you figure in that field goals count as 3 and touchdowns count as 7. That 4 number could come into play. So 4.5, 4 in the hook is a big deal.
24, 20.
How many games have we lost in our career where we've had 3.5?
31,
27, right? 24-20.
21-17. Yeah, no, four's a big number.
4 is
so if you get, 3 is the biggest number, but like if you get it above 4.
4 and a hook.
Yeah.
That's
so
huge.
Yeah, I mean, boy, we're talking ourselves into it right now, aren't we?
I think we are.
We should put the house on it, Dean.
I think we are. Like it's gonna be like Seattle 38-10, and we're both gonna be like, what happened?
It's gonna be like that Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl. You remember that? With Manning, where it was over before it even started.
Yeah, exactly. All right. With that being said, let's come in hot. All right, Scotty, coming in hot. This is our segment where we get passionate about something. We've each got a topic here. It's pretty interesting. We'll start with yours. So we're in the college basketball season now, hot and heavy now with football almost in the rearview window. So a lot of guys who have either been drafted or gone to the G League now, they're trying to go into the court system and trying to get back into the college game. You presented an article, what Dan Wetzel did, I think, from Boston Globe or whatever.
ESPN.
ESPN, but yeah. So anyway, so give me your take on this. Let's go over it.
Well, this is like a kind of an interesting development. It's the latest in the evolution here of college sports with where we're going with everything, and really the lack of control or anybody kind of, any oversight on anything right now, because again, the NCAA feels kind of powerless with regard to this. They're kind of washing their hands of all this stuff. So yeah, basically you have guys who've entered their name into the NBA draft, and end up playing professional basketball, even a guy who was drafted, I believe,
yes,
as well, then deciding to come back to school. Because they're still in a 5-year window, they still have college eligibility remaining.
Correct.
And until it's decided in the courts, what they're doing a lot of times is they're getting just temporary injunctions or restraining orders or whatever it is, that kind of delays the case for a while to be heard later. And so while it's delayed, they're playing because there's no rule apparently that's being enforced. If there is a rule, it's not being enforced with regards to this. It used to be if you entered your name in the draft and you went in the draft, you couldn't play.
You were done. You
couldn't play college
your
basketball
eligibility
anymore.
was over.
So Dan Wetzel, and this also relates to football because, quarterback for Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, played, junior college football here in the state of California. He's 25 years old. He's trying to get an extra year of eligibility. A lot of guys who play junior college football, they're trying, the NCAA they've been sued. The NCAA has been sued by these guys who play junior college football saying they don't think those years should count against their eligibility. And so that's kind of still needs to be determined or decided. But in the meantime, while nothing's being decided, usually these guys are allowed to play. And so Dan Wetzel says, look, we just need to simplify all this, right? Let's use common sense, simplify it. When you graduate high school, whenever that is, you have 5 years then, to play college athletics. Okay. Or so you could maybe say, okay, maybe in 6 years or something, because maybe somebody takes, a year off or something. And then, in my opinion, put a maximum age on it, right? That 25 years old is the maximum, 26, whatever it is, something like in that department that you can't play college athletics anymore. I actually don't have the biggest issue with somebody going to the professional ranks and then coming back if they have college eligibility remaining and it's not working out in the professional ranks, because in every other profession in life, you're allowed to do that. If you go and leave college because you want to be an actor in LA and then realize, man, this isn't working out, I want to go back to school, you can. You're allowed to. The issue I have is they shouldn't be allowed to just second week of the season suddenly grab somebody from the G League, and plug them in.
Sure.
There's got to be some rules about, hey, if you're deciding to play college basketball for this season or college football and you've already entered your name in the draft or played professional basketball, but you still fall into that window, that 6-year window, and you haven't met the age requirement. Okay, well, you need to make that known by a certain date, over the summer or this and that you're going to do that.
Okay.
I would actually be okay with that because I just think it's the American way that guys go to the NBA sometimes or this and that and they decide, this was the wrong choice. And they still are young and they still would have college eligibility remaining, and now they can make money in college as well. So I think you're kind of denying somebody the right to make some money by doing that. Now, you got to have rules, but I might be on an outlier on that, actually saying I actually would be okay with some kind of path. But there should be a set number of years when you graduate high school that you can play college athletics, and there should be a maximum age that once you reach that, you aged out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I do. A lot of these guys make mistakes. They think that they're draft worthy or possibly do get drafted, maybe in the second round or whatever, if it's the NBA. It doesn't pan out, and then what do? They're stuck, right? You can go to Europe and play, or you can go to overseas and play somewhere else, whether it's any other country, Australia. But I mean, then you're not in the United States. You're out of the cycle. So it's let's give these guys an opportunity to kind of redeem themselves and their mistakes. Now, the NCAA's got to work on some of these rules. We talked about football, at wit's end, about there needs to be more legislation. There needs to be more guidelines for these programs. You've got coaches like Kelvin Sampson last night coming out saying that Houston's a poor program, and we don't know how we're going to be able to fund NIL much longer. So something's got to happen. A lot of this stuff's coming to the forefront now. Something's got to happen, Scotty, and quickly.
Well, by the way, Matt Entz was asked a few questions at his signing day press conference yesterday, kind of about the state of college athletics and what would he like to see changed and anything. And it was interesting because some of the stuff we've talked about before with college football, he mentioned, he says, we've got to move the calendar up. We can't be playing the championship game January 19th because, it filters into that, for those teams, into that transfer portal window still. Right. You got to have all that stuff decided and it's just so much cleaner in that case. No, I actually afterwards was said, I actually would be in favor of them playing the championship game at the Rose Bowl every year. And he wasn't against that by any means on January 1st. I loved hearing it. He said, I want this championship to be decided as close to January 1st as we can possibly
It's great
be.
to hear a college coach actually say that. I mean, I know there's more than just Matt Entz, but I mean, now they're moving the game back next year. So I think it's even a week later. So it's getting outrageous. So, all right, we'll get to my point really quick. So the Olympics are underway. The opening ceremony is tomorrow. I don't like this. It's one of my pet peeves. Like, how can the competition start when we haven't even had the opening ceremony yet? So, it's a passionate take. It's like, hey, we've already got some women's ice hockey going on. We got some skiing going on, and it's like we haven't even lit the cauldron yet. So, and this isn't just a winter problem. This is a summer problem as well. Scotty, they've got 2 weeks and change to get all these competitions done. Why do we have to start before we do the opening ceremony? Or if not, move the opening ceremony up to Wednesday and let's get it over. So, your thoughts?
I like it. I like your take,
yes.
Dean. It always has baffled me, they're probably going to argue logistically, with hockey or with soccer, for example, in the summer games always starts a little early because, they have to play probably 3 pool matches or group matches. And usually, like in soccer, you get 3 or 4 days off between matches. That's the way they do it in the World Cup and this and that. So that would be their argument. But I'm with you. Come on. Why is the Olympics starting before they light the torch?
Cauldron, yeah,
right.
exactly.
I mean, I popped up. I saw there was like a power outage at curling or something.
Yeah, they
yesterday.
started their first event and then they had a power outage. They had to reschedule it anyway. So
wouldn't it feel weird, like if you had tickets to, say the curling today, Thursday before the opening ceremony?
Yes.
Would it even feel like you're watching the Olympics if you haven't already had the opening ceremony?
Listen, Scotty, I turned it on this morning. I wanted to see Team USA women, and I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a second. When's the opening ceremony again? Oh, it's 11 a.m. tomorrow. Like, it's just one of those pet peeves where it's like, it's like playing a playoff game before you finish the regular season. Like, come on, let's do this.
And let me also say
please.
that sometimes athletes, I think, skip the opening ceremony occasionally. Most of them want to take part. It's a special thing, obviously. But like some of those soccer players and this and that,
their competition.
Yeah, they've got games or they got to get in bed early for the next day. If you're going to have an opening ceremony, it's going to be a celebration of athletes worldwide. Make it so everybody can attend.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also like when we get to the 2028 games in Los Angeles, some of the games aren't even going to be in the state of California. They're elsewhere, so they can't compete there anyway. It's crazy, but it's just one of my pet peeves. Like, let's get the opening ceremony and then let's fire this thing off. I'm excited to see it. I'm fired up for it. Our own Angelique Martinez is over there already rocking live shots.
Favorite Winter Olympic sport?
Hockey. I'm a hockey guy, but I really like the curling. I like the yelling and the oh.
To me, there's nothing better than alpine skiing the downhill.
Yeah,
the downhill is awesome.
You're a skier. Yeah. You're a snowshoe guy. That's your thing. That's your thing. You're an outdoorsman, right?
I'm Mr. Outdoors.
You're Mr. Outdoors.
Tell that to my wife who sees me on the couch for 12 hours every Saturday.
My wife and I, we love the ice skating too because we really enjoy that. It's a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, we're excited with the Olympics and good luck, Angie. All right, NBA trades. All right, we've had a bunch. The deadline is come and gone now. Which do you like? Which didn't you like? I know one player in particular we were talking about this morning before in our meeting is James Harden. So
well, I'm not trying to knock James Harden. I mean, James Harden is what James Harden is. He's a guy who could score the basketball, and by the numbers, it looks like he's been playing better defense. It's not like he's just a complete one-way player, but he's a guy who's ball dominant, right? James Harden. And my only point is, if the Cavs, I don't really feel like adding James Harden is this move that's going to put him over the top. That's going to get him out of the East and get him to the finals. Hey, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe James Harden is the missing ingredient there. But it just, don't you feel that way a little bit about James Harden? Especially with the way that he's played in the postseason and everything else. I know he's been playing good basketball, recently and everything. And I will actually give a little credit to an organization at least trying to make something happen, like the Cavs, who obviously came up a little short last year and, hey, what do we need to do? How can we get over there? And they're trying at least, right, to make something happen.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if this was the right move.
Okay. Well, like I said, one thing I'll mention about James Harden is tongue-in-cheek as a Lakers fan that James Harden was supposed to be the guy to get the Clippers over the top. And it just never happened. Tongue-in-cheek with Steve Ballmer, so that team's kind of falling apart now. They just treated Zubac, too, by the way, this morning to the Pacers. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there.
Well, I also think about Donovan Mitchell and James Harden together.
Right, they've kind of played the same position. Yeah. They're both shooters, right? But anyway, let's talk about the Anthony Davis move. So Anthony Davis 1 year ago gets traded from the Lakers to the Mavericks for Luka Doncic, and obviously Dallas goes crazy. Nico Harrison loses his job kind of over it. And now the Dallas Mavericks after getting Cooper Flagg, the blessing of Cooper Flagg as the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, they get rid of Anthony Davis because he's been injured almost the entire. I think he's only played 29 games. Scotty, 29 games. That just shows. And now he's on his way to Washington. So talk about the Anthony Davis situation for a second.
Well, I mean, they're pulling the plug on it. It's basically what's happening here, right? We're saying, hey, you know what? We made a mistake.
We tried.
Nico Harrison made a mistake.
Yeah.
We're admitting that you know that philosophy didn't work, and now you know what? We got lucky. We ended up with a guy who could be, you know, a all-star for the next 15 years in Cooper Flagg, and let's start building around him. And let's not try to hang on to AD, you know, and see if it can work. Or no, let's get some picks. Let's let's acquire some talent, and let's start building around Flagg. Hopefully, Kyrie Irving can come back healthy, and then if he comes back healthy, hey, who knows? Maybe you got something there in Dallas, you know, and you're starting to stockpile picks, and you know, some young talent comes in there and everything else. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Anthony Davis.
I do too, because now he's a journeyman. He's going to go down kind of as a journeyman. I mean, if it wasn't for Anthony Davis, the Lakers do not win the NBA title in 2020. They just don't.
He's a great player when he's healthy, but it's always going to be sitting out there that when he's healthy, right? And it's sad that he's kind of become, you know, a bit of a journeyman, a joke in a way, right? You know, and I feel bad about that because
I do too.
when he's healthy and playing, he plays really hard, and you know, and he's a heck of a basketball player. Yeah. Just some guys, when you're that size too, it's just so hard to stay healthy.
It's so hard, you know. But like I said, always will have love for AD. It wasn't for him, we don't win in 2020 as a Lakers fan. But it's just really tough. I will mention one thing for the Lakers. They picked up Luke Kennard yesterday, a shooter from Atlanta.
Is it putting the Lakers over the top?
I'm not going to say that, but I do like that move.
He's a good shooter.
He's having his best shooting year ever. He's shooting almost 50% from the 3-point arc this year. And one thing the Lakers can't do well, shoot the three. I mean, other than Luka, they're not good. They don't.
Don't the Lakers need more of a defensive presence though? Isn't that what's kind of holding them back?
No, I agree, but we don't have the money, Scott. Scott, we were lucky to get Kennard because we just don't have the funds. I mean, LeBron and Luka suck up almost the entire, and then Austin Reeves is the only tradable element we have. We can't get rid of that guy. I mean, Austin Reeves is special.
It's so hard in the NBA, Dean. Yeah. You know, like it's easy, you know, from the outside looking in to say, you know, as fans to say, gosh, what are we doing? You know, like we got to make something happen, this and that. It's like there's only so many chess moves that you can make, right? With the salary cap and everything else. I mean, look at the Warriors, right? They're trying to get Giannis apparently. Right. Not going to happen. Yeah. And so they've got Steph Curry, for another year or two, maybe Draymond for another year or two.
Right. They did keep Draymond.
Still trying to maximize it. And so you sort of get desperate. Right. And look, Porzingis to me kind of falls into the AD thing. Like when he's healthy, he's good. He's not on AD's level by any means, but he's good.
He's serviceable.
But he's an injury prone guy. And so now you're trading because it's like desperation, you know, because the worst thing in the NBA, right, is to be good enough to finish 7th in the conference or 9th in the conference, you know, just good enough to make the playoffs, not bad enough to get a really good draft pick. Right. And now you're kind of stuck in purgatory in the middle.
Yeah, you're right. Good point. All right, really quick before we get off basketball, we got to mention our Fresno State men's hoops team. A really nice comeback win the other night at home against UNLV on national TV, by the way, too. So they were down, I believe, about 10-ish, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood, like high single digits, and they came back and won that game, Scotty. That's a nice win for Vance Wahlberg, right?
Yeah, it's a win because it's a nice win because it should have been a loss, right? Yeah. And whenever you steal one like that, there's nothing but good feelings. You know, Vance came into the post-game presser, he was all wet, you know, and he was making jokes about his bald head, you know, like that he messed up his hair, throwing water on him and everything else.
We don't know about that. We don't have to go through that. God, it'd be terrible.
It was just, you know, it was good. It was great to see Coach Wahlberg kind of like, you know, having a moment like that, being able to come in and joke around and, you know, have this celebration and everything else. A game, because they've let so many get away that they could have had. Right. And they finally stole one that they shouldn't have had. Right. And they made incredible plays down the stretch, but it was just a strange game, you know, like it's such a strange game.
I was flipping back and forth. I was shocked that they got it done. It was crazy. But
so this is funny.
Just Vance though. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say with like a minute 30 left in the game, I needed to send back second half highlights, and the game was going on so long. I didn't think I was gonna have time to get it back for the 11 o'clock. Right. And so I go, okay, well it's a 9-point lead with 1:30 to go basically for UNLV. So I go quickly back to my laptop, back in there, you know. Quickly edit together 3 plays, feed it back to, and then I realized I could still hear noise. The game's still going on at that point. But grab my camera, go back out. When I went back out, there was still 45 seconds left. So like I was probably in there for 15 minutes.
Wow.
And 45 seconds had gone off the clock.
Wow.
And thankfully I was there because then I got to get the end of the game.
Yeah, you got the winning plays for sure. So, well, that's good. Congrats to Vance and the boys. That's 2 in a row, right? Because they won the Air Force game over the weekend. So they got a little streak going. So, all right, let's get into our money plays, Super Bowl edition. All right, Scott, quickly. Well, like I said, I'm not going to hinder on this too much, but the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. For those of you that follow the show, I had a really, really good January. I think I got almost $1,300, and we went 0 for 9 on Monday. We're down to 835. Scotty is the leader in the clubhouse, as is fitting on his birthday here.
Scotty
only lost 1, and he's at 967. But we both had a really bad break on that Texas Tech game. So
yeah, I just needed Texas Tech to win the game.
They were up as much as 10 in the second half and lose it by 3.
I think they were up 10 with like 4 minutes left in that game.
It was looking good.
Like Kansas closed on some crazy run.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. It happens, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to move on. Scott's got a bunch of plays, and we got some Super Bowl edition plays too. Go for it. Oh, wait, that's mine. I'm sorry. Let me get yours up here, Scotty. Sorry. There's yours first. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so 4 from the Beam today.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That's like 20 from Dean.
We had a Super Bowl going on, so I figured I had to get a couple in there. But we'll start with some college hoops tonight.
Like it.
Big West ESPN Plus specials. You know my Thursday night Big West action, right?
Thursday night Big West. You got to love it.
Under the radar, the Gauchos. Gauchos have been playing some terrific basketball.
Shout out Matt Morris.
Yeah.
Those were his boys.
Yeah, they're playing at UC Davis tonight. It's not the easiest place to get a win, right? But like basically I'm going to take a money line, so all they got to do is win the game.
Yep.
They're playing some great defense there recently as well. Cal State Fullerton lost at UCSB, on Saturday, but they've been playing better basketball as well recently. And so I'm just going to money line them tonight against UC Riverside, is one of the worst teams in the Big West. So I'm going to put those two together in a money line parlay.
Friday, Saturday combo here on number 2.
Yeah, and then DraftKings had some Friday, Saturday, a few games up. Didn't have the full card.
I took them.
Yeah, didn't have a full card. So, I like St. John's against UConn. So I'm going to do it as a teaser, though.
I like it.
I want to push it up to 6.5, 5-point teaser. It's kind of the Bemis.
Bemis special right there, guys, on his 50th.
Yeah,
look at that.
The teaser king of Fresno, as
I
Dean
love
likes
it.
to call me.
The teaser king of Fresno.
And then under the radar as well, North Carolina. The last 3 or 4 games, they've got top flight talent there. Now they're playing defense.
Yep.
Duke's really good, right?
They're playing Duke. Yep.
But Carolina's going to be at home.
At the Dean
They're going to
Dome.
be fired up. So if I'm getting double digits on the teaser there, I like it.
Nice.
Then going to the Super Bowl.
Let's do the Super Bowl.
I don't have to go too much into this. You heard it earlier.
Yep.
Basically, I like the Patriots getting the 4.5.
Yep.
Consider this, Dean. Underdogs of 3 or more since 2002 in the Super Bowl, 13-4 against the spread.
Look at that. You only get that on this show, you guys. You don't get that on any other show.
There you go. And then one individual prop that I always like in big games, and there's no game bigger than the Super Bowl, is when you have a quarterback who can use his legs, take the rushing prop over.
I like it.
Because regular season, they might throw it away on 3rd down.
Yep.
In the Super Bowl, they're taking off and running.
I'm going to use that on Price Picks, by the way, that number 4 for sure. All right, I'm just going to go right to my Super Bowl ones to start with. So Super Bowl 60, give me the Patriots 7.5. Bought it up. I'm going to go over a touchdown. I don't think I need to. I like what Scott's doing. I like his rationale, but I'm going to go over it. I'm not going to get quite the money, but $50 to win $27.93. I just like that. I think it's a magic number. I think 4.5. I think he's convinced me on that, but I'm going to go up to 7.5 on that. I think the Patriots will, if they don't win, they're going to cover close. And here's my prop. $25 on Super Bowl 60. The first touchdown will be scored by a jersey number over 10.5. A player wearing a number over 10.5. It's minus 160, 25 to win 1562. Give me a player wearing over the number 11. So 11 or more.
What number is Cooper Kupp? 10?
He's 10.
So we're rooting against Cooper Kupp in this one.
Like I said, I love Cooper Kupp. It's hard for me to root for Seattle, but that's the only reason I'll be rooting.
Single digit, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I got a couple other plays in there. Like I said, I've got a couple of money lines and stuff in there. I got the Lakers tonight, 3.5 against Philly. I've got the Suns minus 5.5 against Golden State. So you see the plays there. I've got the same play Scotty's got. I've got a Duke money line, Michigan State money line, Tennessee money line, and BYU. Those are for Saturday's game. So that's pretty much what we got. Scotty, any last thoughts for the Super Bowl?
It's, it's a long build up, but when it finally gets here, it's always fun to watch.
All right, Scotty and I will recap this game on Monday. Enjoy it, everyone. For Scott, I'm Dean. Happy birthday again, Scotty.
Thank you,
This has
sir.
been the Beem and Dean Show.